Well, the ruling could have a severe impact on Trump's real estate empire. The judge did not order the Trump Organization to be dissolved. He did rule the former president could not serve as an officer or director of a company in New York for 3 years, and he cannot apply for loans from any organization registered in New York. Russ Buettner is an investigative reporter for the New York Times who has written extensively on Trump's finances, and he joins us now to take us through some of what we've seen and, you know, the top lines. $355 million. We've just heard can't serve as director of a company in New York for 3 years. His sons need to pay $4 million and so forth. But in terms of the overall Trump empire, what does this mean for him financially?
It looks to me like it's a devastating blow. Trying to figure out the cash he has on hand is always very challenging. We looked at 20 years of his tax returns that we obtained, and what we saw was the money that he had received from entertainment was really supporting a lot of his money-losing businesses. And then that went away, and his cash position really dwindled over the last 10 years. By about 2018, what we found and what the Attorney General found is he had about $44 million in personal and business cash and marketable securities. That gets nowhere near paying this, and also wouldn't allow him to pay, obviously, the $83 million verdict in the E. Jean Carroll defamation suit. He had some recent influxes over the last couple of years that brought him perhaps $400 million before taxes, but again, his business is burned through cash, and no matter how you slice that, he does not have this kind of money on hand to pay these two judgments without having to either sell some of his assets or alternatively to refinance some. But that's a problem too, because this order bans him from seeking loans from any bank that's registered in New York State. That's almost every bank. And he's also had a very difficult time getting loans in recent years. So this is a real problem. And his empire, you know, if you pull out some of the profitable elements out of it, the whole thing really is in jeopardy.
Yeah, I mean, devastating blow, as you say, could unravel his business dealings completely. Look, we are anticipating an appeal here, which is really important. And I guess it would be vital for Donald Trump to appeal this, to get one last chance, a shot at being able to reverse this ruling.
It's obviously, I think it's an existential kind of need on his behalf. I think this will have, from what we've been told, an immediate kind of impact in that he'll have to put up some sort of bond to show that he has the capability to pay this fine, and no matter what the appeal turns out to be, and that he'll have a monitor in place again for 3 more years, a director of compliance, which he's never really had, in place for 3 years. People are going to be sort of hamstringing him from making any serious moves that would allow him to pour cash out of here. So there's an immediate impact while he's waiting for the appeal, and then you're right, that appeal is of the utmost importance to his sort of financial health.
Absolutely. So, Russ, I mean, what we've also been seeing from Donald Trump is that while he's been on the campaign trail, this, you know, his legal woes have been, in a way, he's been able to capitalize on them in terms of getting more funding and getting more allies, and frankly, been using it part of his campaign trail. To what extent will he be able to use the money that he raises for his legal problems?
We've heard mixed things on that. Clearly, it seems he can use it to pay some of his legal fees, pay his lawyers, but whether he can use it to pay judgments remains unclear. He could certainly try to raise, I think, funds somehow. You could have some kind of, like, you know, online fundraising effort to try to pay some of this, and perhaps that would yield fruit. It's hard to say. No one really knows at this point. But this, with absent that, he's got a real problem here. And I think you raise a good point, Alini, that this may be like really devastating for his future finances, but it may be he'll use it for his political advantage, which is what he's done, is to present himself as persecuted and to try to convince people that this is a government, like big government, deep state operation out to get him, and if they can do it to him, they might do it to you. That's been a sort of mobilizing theme of his campaign.
Yeah. Right, Russ Buettner, great to have you on. Thank you for your expertise.